What's up, everybody? This week on Tampa Talk, USF, how they got their name. Steinbrenner Field scores $18 million, and a local pastor pulls a gun at a city council forum.
Plus, the JCC campus is closing. A charter school defies orders, and we've got fall festivals and live barbecue, fun, and other food events. It's another wild and wonderful week in Tampa. Let's get into it.
So what's up, Tampa? It's October 17th, and you're listening to Tampa Talk. I'm John.
And I'm Dahlia.
So this is your weekly roundup of local headlines, the can't-miss events coming up, and a little something from Tampa's past.
So, John, what are we talking about this week? How was your week to start?
How was my week? Well, you know what? I'm going to just continue. We were having a bit of a conversation before we started recording, and I feel like we were talking about some of the challenges. Like, we have this real ideal in a lot of our work of collaboration, but it can be challenging at times, right?
Yeah.
So, like, different folks bring different things to the table, and it reminded me of this story of, so there's a chicken, a pig, and a cow. And they want to collaborate to open up a diner, a breakfast restaurant. And so they're talking, they're like, we should open a breakfast restaurant. We should totally do that. And then one of them says, you know, we should have eggs. And they're all like, think for a minute, like, yeah, we should definitely have eggs. And then someone's like, you know, we should have milk. Yeah, we should definitely have milk. And then someone suggests bacon. We should have bacon. And the pig is like, hey guys, in this circumstance, I'm the only one that has a say. Because while you guys are involved, I would be highly committed. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the story. And I love that story because of the idea of like so collaboration is a thing in which like we come together, we share, we work together, we communicate, we value like democratic processes. And yet at the same time, sometimes there's localized control and commitment where it's like, I'm closest to the problem or I'm committed and in.
Yeah.
And the challenge of like taking ownership, inviting others to take ownership, and maybe us not all coming with the same oomph or expectations of one another or what's going to come of it.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about equity a lot in nonprofit work, and I think that's something we forget is even equity in decision making. And so like, you know, the idea of equality is we all get one vote, right? Versus equity being like, no, the pig is the one that's made the bacon, or like will die because of the bacon, so therefore he gets the only vote. And I think we forget that when we think about collaboration, is that it's actually not about equality in a collaborative setting. It's really about like, is there anything like I recently did a training on how to facilitate food system stuff, and basically the consent-based decision-making process is basically like, instead of do we all agree, does anyone have any critical concerns? And that way, unfortunately, we can't all agree, right? There's always going to be a point of disagreement, and we're collaborating, working together is not actually about do we all agree, it's about do you have any critical concerns? So like in the story of the pig and the chicken and the cow, yeah, I have a critical concern, right? That's, for me, that's cannibalism, right? And I'm not going to subscribe to it. And I think that's way harder said than done, because we're also kind of societally taught to like make sure everybody's happy and make sure everybody does this. And we critique, you know, a traditional business environment for being too cutthroat and too much focused on decision makers. And so it's hard to find the balance between this like democratic everybody agrees versus does anyone have any critical concerns?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot. I mean, it's funny. There's this, I don't know, it's like this proverb. I think it's just usually quoted like an African proverb or something where it's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And that's beautiful and true. I think there's like staying power in kind of a collective moving in a certain direction, but it's not the most efficient, which businesses are often optimized for efficiency.
Right.
And so there's top-down decision-making because, let's be honest, while no one wants to live in a dictatorship, a dictatorship is the most efficient form of government. The trade-off is just equity and include, you know, all the things that you might care about, like people having say and having voice. And so we're like, okay, let's move. But then when you pendulum swing to the other side, I mean, I think the clearest illustration of this is actually in the church world. And whether you're in the church world or not, there's familiarity with this. So you have things like, let's say, the Roman Catholic Church, where you have like, it is a hierarchy. There is a priest, and then they have pope, boom, 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 boom. And it's almost like the military. There's a chain of command type thing. But then you have things like the Quakers. If you don't know the Quakers, picture Quaker Oats and the guy on the front. They're like, these are very idealistic. They were known as like the Peace Church kind of thing, but they like would come into they were entirely what you call communitarian. Like everything is going to be decided by everyone. And often their meetings, and even why they were called Quakers, is they would come and sit in a room quietly and just wait until someone was moved, were quaking with a word from God to lead their group. And it's anyone. There wasn't like a leader. Yeah. They all just sit and wait.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And they're slow. They're amazing, and they've been around forever, and they're super amazing community, but they're the opposite. And like one of them is wildly inefficient. Yeah. Very hard to get anything done, although they could build a barn pretty quick. Yeah. And then the other is like this dictatorship, and like there's this kind of tension that we pull between in these two models. And I think something you were saying before is like, at some level, you know, there's this other, I'm just thinking of these cliches that make sense, where it's like, a camel is a horse designed by committee. Like at some level, there is a problem with some people are better at certain kinds of things. And so we want to get aces in their places and kind of decide together that like we should empower Dahlia to make decisions about this thing that she knows really close and well, and maybe John about something else. And that way we don't burden, we give each other the ability to run with the thing that we're good at.
And it makes the work a lot easier. I think that the hardest part, and why I really enjoy the work here at WellBuilt.city, is because we are trying to do the whole nonprofit thing a little bit differently and take and develop these concepts of leadership and community development, opposed to taking them as status quo of like, no, we're just going to continue to fundraise for 100% of our budget, or continue to, hire the USF student. It's like, no. And I was a USF student that was hired. So like there's value in that. Mm-hmm. But we are going to push for community hires, even though, we might have to deal with language literacy or digital literacy. We are going to push for social enterprise, even though figuring out how to make profit on something that has been otherwise done for free for 100 years, for 1,000 years, right? Like giving away food is in the Bible. Is tough. And so that is the motivating component, but it can be exhausting. And so because it forces you to constantly be trying to better yourself, try to better the people around you, and help people identify their skill set. Something that I think is real evidence of like professional maturity is recognizing when you're not the leader in the room, right? We get pushed, be the leader, be the leader, be the leader. Sometimes you're the secretary, right? Sometimes you're like the note taker is what I mean. Sometimes you're just a person, an able-bodied person, right? Sometimes you can contribute a very small piece of the puzzle, but helping to recognize when you're like what your skills actually are and in what rooms they're relevant in, I think is a super difficult place to get to.
No, I love that. And then I want to add to that, because I actually think in leadership, like I've been in a lot of rooms lately where I might have had a lot to offer and bring, but I actually thought that it brought more by not doing that, because it does give other people the chance to kind of step into that. There's a lot of reasons you might listen more or stay to the back more rather than try to grab the steering wheel or something like that. And man, we could riff on this forever, but let's get into this week in Tampa history. Yeah. So on October 22nd, I guess it's not this week. Is that this week? I guess it's this week coming up. October 12th, flying by. 1957, October 22nd, 1957, the Florida Cabinet officially approved the name University of South Florida.
And so for Florida natives, people sometimes critique this word because Tampa isn't really in South Florida, right? Like that Fort Myers down is kind of that South Florida kind of vibe. Which, if you're not from Florida, you have no concept of. And Tampa might as well be South Florida.
Yeah, totally South Florida.
But at the time, it was the southernmost urban center in the state with a university. So,
yeah, and then Governor Leroy Collins called it a modern university for a modern Florida. USF was built for the jet age with a focus on science, tech, and practical skills, not just the classics.
It's kind of wild to think that in 1957, which isn't that long ago, there wasn't a major public university further south than Tampa. And, I've never thought of USF as that way, like a more of a technical university. But I guess that's true. Like, you don't get a lot of, classic literature majors coming out of USF. UDC pre-health.
It's a lot of medical.
Yeah.
A lot of medical,
So I guess we have done just that.
A lot of engineering, a lot of medical. That's right. So let's get into this week in the news a little bit. So Hillsborough County Commissioners just approved $18 million in renovations for Steinbrenner Field, spring training home of the New York Yankees and temporary home of the Rays last season after Hurricane Milton's damage to Tropicana Field.
So the vote passed 6-1. The upgrades will include new scoreboards, security cameras, stadium Wi-Fi, repaved parking lots, new seats, and even landscaping. And it's all coming from hotel bed taxes. So this is a general fund. So like basically our tourism tax is
Nice.
what I understand that to be. And then this next story is actually hits a little close to home because we've definitely partnered with the JCC, which is the Jewish Community Center, and their Citrus Park location specifically, so their Cone campus. But after more than 30 years, the Maureen and Douglas Cone Jewish Community Campus is set to close and sell its 22-acre property.
Yeah, so the JCC and the preschool will close in May 2026. And the Weinberg Village Assisted Living Facility is closing actually next month. Leaders cited rising costs and declining membership. Now, this, by the way, this is so I actually grew up in the Citrus Park area before it was like as developed as it was. I thought I like lived out in the country, but nearby there was this JCC kind of thing. What would become this is before the mall was out there in the suburbs. We were like the pre-suburbs at that point. But I used to sneak into this assisted living facility regularly, and I would act like I was going to go visit somebody, and then I would walk through. They had the most amazing gym in there. And so I would like jog over there and then go in there and go work out. And then I would also, if you went down through their yard in the backside, there's a pond with some really good fishing in it. And anyway, so this is like really close, literally close to my home growing up. And then we've also partnered. I think you guys have led some classes out here.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful campus. I do hope.
It is. It's beautiful. It's big. I mean, 22 acres.
Yeah, and I do hope that it doesn't just turn into condos. So we'll see. But in terms of the assisted living facility, officials do say that about 90% of residents have already been relocated. The site will likely be redeveloped. So
it is old and probably in an area that, like, compared to everything around it, is quite old. And it does, make sense that would happen. So, like we mentioned in the intro, things got intense at a District 5 City Council candidate forum last week. And this guy was a pastor, Pastor Elvis Piggott, a former candidate himself, actually, for City Council, pulled a gun after or during a confrontation.
And so Piggott claims it was self-defense. He says members of Nia Young's, so another candidate's family, confronted him because he supports her opponent, Thomas Scott. He had his 2-year-old son with him and later shared a now deleted Facebook Live video explaining his side.
So he turned himself in on Tuesday to charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and improper exhibition of a firearm. He's now out on bail. I think it was like a $5,500 bond.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Nia Young was quoted saying it was an unprovoked act of violence and intimidation in the course of civic participation.
I did see that blow up all over social. People were posting about it. It was in the Junior Civic Association building is where it happened. Yeah, they poured out into the streets and like people. Marlowe was there. Yeah. I saw him quoted in the news this week about it. I was actually out of town and I was seeing it, the news coming through, but yeah,
that's scary. You don't be in a room with a gun being pulled. So no,
and people left quick.
Yeah, yeah, I would too. In some academic news, Walton Academy has is a school board drama going on right now. So the Walton Academy for the Performing Arts is still open even after the district voted unanimously to immediately terminate its charter over safety concerns.
And those included a lack of emergency drills, a broken alert system, and unsafe classroom layouts. The school says those issues have been fixed. The district says they've been warned multiple times throughout the school year.
And so the school has up to 10 days to request a hearing and challenge the ruling. And in the meantime, officials warn the ongoing operation may threaten student safety. So it sounds like it's building code stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not close to this, and I have no idea. Like, I haven't seen the building. I don't know what the citations were. Obviously, there's concern about safety. I still like the posture of like, no, we'll keep going.
When it comes to schools too, though, there are a lot of regulations because you do have kids in the building.
Yeah, no, totally.
Right? Like I remember when there was a local group trying to find like a place for a school here in the university area, and there was like a lot of restrictions because
you can't use this. And
and that's because you got kids, right?
Yep,
and we got to protect them. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that shapes up. Events going on in the next couple weeks. So this Saturday, October 18th, we have the Pig Jig back in town. It's a barbecue showdown, silent auction, and all-day concert for our cause. This year it's going to feature Megan Moroney, Midland, Matt Nathanson, Jamestown Revival, and George Pippen. All profits go to NephCure to fight FSGS and Nephrotic Syndrome. It's a cool one. It's started by local Tampa guys to raise money for their friend that I think either was very sick or passed away, and it's still going on. So it's going to be over at Julian Lane, Riverfront Park from 1 to 10 p.m., and tickets are $125. There's also the Halloween dog costume contest going on at Sparkman Wharf. So registration starts at noon at Modern Paws. First 50 pups get a treat bag. Plus, you'll find local pet vendors with Pugs, Pedals, Pet Wants, and Merciful Project, which I think is the shelter, come adopt a dog organization. So it's a free event from 12 to 3.
By the way, with this pet costume thing, so I have a friend that she's a photographer, and she runs a company that she does if you look on IG, it's off the leash photography, and she photographs animals. By the way, this would be a great opportunity. But over the last few weeks, they're 3 different condos or apartment complex. They do these things for the residents that live there. They had her come in and shoot all day. They did these costume competitions, and I saw some of the photos, and people are pretty creative.
Yeah.
And some of the dog
people love
costumes,
their dogs.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is pretty cute, actually.
Yeah, it's super cute. No, people love their pets and spend a lot of time. They're pseudo children for some people. I love my dog. He will not be in a costume.
You're not going to dress him up for Halloween?
No, his costume will be fluffy white dog.
Nice.
Some other events a little closer to home is we have the Well-Fed Community Kitchen ribbon cutting ceremony. So we have an official date for that. It's going to be Friday, December 12th, so it's a long way up. But we just want to make sure to spread the word. We're really excited about this kitchen coming online. It's going to be over at TGH Health Park from 11 till 2. And then the Homegrown Hillsborough Annual Conference Eventbrite is officially live. So if you're interested in joining us for a really 3-day conference, but 1-day conference, if that makes sense. 1 day of lectures, let's say, whereas a social as well as a brunch and field trips. That's going to be December 2nd through 4th. So Tuesday will be the social at Yingling Draft House and early registration. Wednesday will be the conference itself at Yingling Draft House. We're really excited to be partnering with them and utilizing that space. And then Thursday will be a brunch over at Meacham Urban Farm, followed by field trips to some of our local food system players. So really looking forward to that conference. You can look for tickets by going to connect.homegrownhillsborough.com or actually visiting just www.homegrownhillsborough.com and seeing our events page.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we will also be out at Ybor Street Community Garden this morning. From 10 until noon. Team will be getting their hands dirty in the garden. You can come out, pitch in, help out there. And then Harvest Hope Park will be out there from 10:30 until 11:30 sharing groceries with the Kinship Mobile Free Market.
And one more plug, if you're listening to this on Friday morning at 4 o'clock at Harvest Hope Park, we'll be having our fall fiesta to celebrate Latin American heritage. And so you can join us for some food. We're going to have Brazil, Venezuela, Puerto Rico represented in terms of food, but it's a fall fiesta. So it's for everyone to come to enjoy some food and have some fun in the neighborhood.
That's awesome.
Harvest Hope Park, 4 p.m. today, Friday, October 17th. But that's what we're talking about this week, Tampa.
Guys, so if you haven't yet, we just want to continue to invite you to subscribe to the newsletter that comes out each week that this video will be attached to is wordonthestreets.xyz, where you can subscribe to that, and you'll get all the links to the news that we're talking about that week. And if you want to just share the podcast with someone, you can get to go tampatalk.xyz. It'll take you right to the Spotify, which includes the video link. And then in all the places on YouTube and wherever, please continue to share, comment, rate the show. Just the more you guys engage, the more it'll help us kind of spread our reach with this.
Absolutely. So we'll catch you next week. And until then,
y'all be good.